Hey guys, welcome back to the Reed Homestead. Patrick again. Just doing some winter adjustments to our compost piles here. And in North Carolina, it's been in the 20s for the most part. We don't get a lot of snow down here. It has gotten down into the single digits, so the compost piles have gone kind of cold. If you remember from last video, I had 3 different bins of compost. I basically collected them all and combined them into one big one. I'm sure if you're into composting, you've probably seen some of Charles Dowding, the no-dig guru, compost guru from England. And he's got these huge compost bins. So I was kind of trying something like that. What I noticed is, the compost kind of stalled out, which is fairly typical, especially in the winter. Still, it's breaking down, but it's no longer warm in here at all. I did cut the lawn and added some fresh lawn clippings in the middle of this huge heap about a month ago. So what I'm doing, and you can see right here, it's breaking down slowly, real slowly in the winter. So what I just did, I dug out the middle, added a bunch of coffee grounds, which is green, nitrogen. Kind of jump started a little bit. And then I'm separating some of it. I'm going to probably take half of this heap and move it over here. So I'm separating half out. Took the top, put it over here on the bottom. I've got some things that didn't quite make it through the winter. I'm just going to add this soil into the compost. Help it break down a little faster. So not much, 4 little buckets of soil, composted soil from last year. And then I've got some of my turkey stuffing from Christmas Day. It's basically onion, carrot, lemon, all that stuff. And we're going to add that to the compost heaps. And, not expecting a whole lot of miracles here, but it's just like any other time of year. You still gotta make your adjustments and stuff. There's no reason to change what you're doing just because it's winter. In North Carolina, this isn't England. We're a little further south, so right today it's in the mid to upper 40s. It'll get down into the 20s tonight, so overnight it gets real cold. Get a kind of hard frost every night. Got down to the single digits pretty much a few times this year. I'm just going to cover that up a little bit. And we did lose power overnight. I guess it was Friday night. Well, early Saturday morning. Probably for about 2.5 hours. And then on Saturday, we lost power for about 4 or 5 hours. In North Carolina, it doesn't really get cold enough to snow. So what you get is rain, freezing rain, and 2 things happen. One, the trees aren't really equipped. They get that heavy rain or sleet, turns to ice, tree limbs fall, take out power lines. Or the second thing is drivers aren't really used to driving in the snow or the sleet down here, so sometimes you'll have drivers go off the road and hit a power line too. So anyhow, we lost power for a few hours, and had to rely on some camping stuff, which I'll kind of go over what we did when we were out of power. Granted, it was only for a day or two, but with all my camping equipment, we were fine. Emergency radios, buddy heaters, stuff like that. So that works good. And what I'm going to do, you can see that big old compost heap. It's breaking down slowly but surely. Just going to mix that up, aerate it a little bit. Okay. So in about another month or so, the weather's going to warm up. I'm going to add some of that composted soil from last year. And I want to be ready come end of February, when the weather starts warming up. These piles are going to spring back to life, and we're going to be ready for it. So what we're going to do is just add some of this compost from Christmas, the stuffing. I'm going to add that right in the middle here. You've got smaller piles. They're kind of easier to manage. So I added this bucket. We're going to throw some of that in there. And the microbes will get going on it. I don't expect, it's not a whole lot, but good enough to jumpstart it a little bit. And when the weather starts warming up, the microbes will have some food to really start kicking off. So have a successful end to the compost season, right? No reason to change the way you're going about doing your gardening business. If you've been flipping compost, then keep flipping it. Always getting air in there is a good thing. What I did notice is with these compost bins, the compost really does affect the soil underneath. So this is usually hard clay, and the compost piles where the bins are has really softened up that soil. Another thing, another little tip I have is we got a 10-yard drop of wood chips, hardwood. So if you're familiar with Chip Drop, chipdrop.com, you can sign up, and arborists that are taking down trees in the area will stop at your house, and you've got to commit to at least 20 yards, but they'll drop chips at your house for free. You know, you can give them a little tip. We tipped them out. So the cost of delivery, basically, you know, 20, 40 bucks, whatever. You're basically paying the arborist fee for the website service. So we got wood chips. I added Miracle Grow and some of nature's nitrogen of the golden variety to these wood chips. I'm going to add that to the compost pile and let that break down so they'll get more nitrogen. Matter of fact, been outside for probably about a month. you know, in the cold. It's only rained a few times. Sleet. But that'll retain all that nitrogen in the wood chips. So in the compost, come summertime, your garden will have these little nitrogen bombs, which is great for growth. See, these leaves got to start breaking down. So just poke at them, aerate them. You'll see layers of it is breaking down. But you can help the process. Keep it close to the ground with your fork. Add a little more soil. Got perlite in it. This is compost I made from last summer. Really. But it just helps the process right along. Okay. Here, I'll hit pause so you don't have to watch all this. And we'll bring you back when it's done. All right. So I'm going to give that a cover of compost. I just added my last batch of soil. That's a pretty big heap. It's only about a third of that combined heap over there. And then I'll start flipping some of this and adding some soil and wood chip, nitrogen wood chip. Okay, another thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to cover this with a little tarp, and what that will do is that'll lock the moisture in. Not that I'm worried about it evaporating, but it'll also keep the critters out, and it'll keep it heated. Any heat that's generated from this adjustment, the nitrogen added, it'll lock that in. So the microbes inside that are breaking down all the leaves and grass will be able to stay warm and continue the composting process. So we'll hit that with a little cover. And now, this is what we're left with. So all this was flipped over here. We still got a lot of compost here. So this is the older heaps. So I got two heaps here. They're older and probably more broken down than what was up front here that is now over there. So I'm going to flip this, add some soil, add some nitrogen wood chip, and cover it. Be right back. Okay, so what I did, and it really doesn't look like this heap has changed that much, but I probably got, I don't know, seven bags full of compost transplanted. I flipped this, added more soil just to help the leaves and grass break down. Added some more nitrogen chips. So when it does warm up, these microbes in here are going to be able to break this down a lot faster. So we're just going to cover this real quick. Hang on one sec. All right. So we got the cover on it. Broke it down into 2 heaps. This is still a substantial pile right here. A little easier to manage, to turn. I mean, that was huge. So when it comes to composting, you could just use leaves and leave them in a big pile, wet them down, and wait 2 years. But what you put into it, you get out. So if you add, nitrogen, grass clippings, all these different things, then it'll help those leaves break down a lot faster. And if you flip it, oftentimes, a couple times a week, you can get compost in just a few weeks. I'm not out to break any records or anything like that, so I usually flip once a week, if even. During the summer I'll flip once a week, make sure I keep it moist, and usually about a month and a half my compost will be ready. So the idea here, again, this is mid-January, second week in January, is just to add some nitrogen to these piles. They're already moist. I'm not going to have to wet them down. Add some nitrogen, turn things, keep them breaking down, and in another month and a half, when it starts warming up, these microbes will just spring to life and this compost will be ready. There's my dog, Bo, getting into everything, trying to eat the compost bin. So anyhow, these microbes will start breaking things down once it starts warming up. It'll have plenty of food. There's nitrogen in there. So weather warms up a little bit, and puppies, and that compost will start breaking down. So just remember, chipdrop.com. You get 20 yards of wood chips, hardwood. You can request hardwood. I wouldn't use pine, a little acidic, for your garden, but you can get hardwood, request hardwood. There's no cost. I mean, that's tons of mulch for your garden, free. You pay a tip. It's a donation. You don't have to pay anything. These guys are just looking to get rid of it. So, support your local arborists, give them a place to drop, and at the same time, you can use that as mulch or even add it to your compost. Hope you got something out of this, guys. So, until next time, God bless. Have a great day. Reed Homestead out.